Hello, everybody, and welcome back to day 6 of LJL Spring. I feel like Pitbull, because we are going worldwide for the last 2 games of the day. We're bringing in RMC from Canada and Midnight from the land down under to bring us the last 2 games today. Gents, looking forwards then. Actually, let's look back first before we go onwards. We have some wonderful words, as translated by Hina once again. The interview with Dice after game 2, and well, he had a lot of things to say about how the Jesters played that one out.
I just love that we want to farm. Like, you know, why take TP? We want to farm. We'll be fine. Like, you know, that's just how it is, right? Like,
it's funny that it's coming from Dice as well, too, because I feel like Dice not taking the TP is okay. It's more Ray Farkey not taking the TP, which could potentially have made the game harder, but you know what? Ray Farkey wanted to farm too. Yeah, he wanted to farm Renekton's, that's all.
And he did a fine job of it. And looking as well, the question was asked, was it difficult to play against comp? Yeah, pretty much. No. Poppy, like, okay, sure, Hachimecha had a couple of decent keeper's verdicts, but I can remember the big dragon fight was it fully charged and ended up just dropping it. Like, they were so indecisive in that big fight that the Jesters, they completely gave up any agency they had, and when Burning Core took it off them, they like ripped it out of their mouth like some kind of very tasty morsel, and were just like, nah, we'll have those.
And honestly, compositionally, I thought Rascal Jesters had answers. I will die on this hill. Ryze is a counter to Tryndamere, especially in the mid lane here. I will die on that hill, and we did not see it. Dice played it so well, and even in that dragon fight replay that we got to see earlier, I think Soul only started auto-attacking like after the fight was kind of done, and only on to Dice. So
pretty much.
Huge props to the way Burning Core got to play that. But speaking of Burning Core here, Burning Core are only, well, they're second tied with another team, and that team is Sengoku Gaming, who beat them last week.
Ooh,
and we get to see them now. Yeah, in this match against HAWKS.
Yep. Sengoku Gaming versus Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS Gaming. Midnight, I want to jump over to you, because much as I hate to overpush a narrative, Legacy Kings Dynasty, we've hit the point. We've hit the point right now, surely, that we just can't attribute the HAWKS' poor performances to early season jitters, and they are just looking bad.
it's heartbreaking as well, because the HAWKS were meant to be this super team, right? You build it from the ground up, you get all these different ingredients to throw into your cake, you throw it in the oven, you grab it out, and it turns out you've just made crap, which is super heartbreaking, because, like, I want the HAWKS to do well. Like, you've still got the good elements. You've got Dasher from last year, who I thought was a standout player for the HAWKS, but I feel like the bigger problem right now for HAWKS is the bottom lane. Caster, you've spoken to me a bit about this already. Do you want to go on about the areas with Marble and Reyna?
Oh man, I've been on this on the podcast as well. Marble and Reyna, they're just, you know what? They're from V3, and we know how V3 is performing this split. I'll leave it at that. It's even worse in a way, because they're up against Sengoku, who's Honey and Enti, and Honey's been an absolute monster so far. Was a monster on Axis as well. In fact, I believe I told you know there's history here between Honey and SoftBank HAWKS, since Honey used to play on this team as well. So, you know, there's a lot just going here for this bot lane, and for the HAWKS, Marble and Reyna just need to survive here. I'm not even asking for a win. Just please live.
Just please live. Okay, the plea has been made. We are into draft though, so I will leave you guys to it. Have fun, happy hunting. I'll see you after the game.
Wait, well, let's dive right into it here and see. Well, I was going to say, we saw some Gordon Graves earlier today as well. So that's taken off the table, but no touch yet on the Jinx, on the Aphelios, and this is stuff, if you guys recall to last year, Honey, I believe, had the highest DPM of all regions. He was the highest DPM player blanket across it, with like 827 if memory serves. So like, this guy, if he's given the time of day to play the game, he will tear you apart by himself.
Yeah, and right now, we don't see any bans leveled at Honey coming through from the Hawks here, which is slightly worrying. Instead, they're looking to try and lock down Jet's pool a little bit. And for me, I don't think that's a bad choice because Hawks have been playing through Dasher through their mid lane here. So they're trying to get Dasher as favorable a matchup as possible and probably something that can scale, something that can carry a game.
Yeah, but now look, so much is available now. Jinx, Caitlyn, Jin, Zeri, who has been banned every game, is now in the hands of Marble, and maybe this is the chance for redemption, but there's a bit of a problem that Zeri has, which if memory serves, is a complete lack of range.
Yeah, I mean, as fights go on, you know, with the Q, yes, you do get quite a bit of range in the team fights later on, but especially early, no, she's not going to be able to match Poke. And speaking of range, speaking of Poke here, we've not seen very much Caitlyn in the LJL because she's been banned so much. She's only been picked 175% presence, and now we get Caitlyn Lux. I don't think there's any real duo you can pair with a Zeri to have a decent lane here, and this was already the lane that we were most concerned about.
Yeah, my gut instinct here is Reyna, take Yuumi and literally just survive. Like, is it a great matchup? Absolutely not. But what is your other options here? I think you need to do something to survive. Dasher, just take the Yuumi. We know it's what you're gonna have to do down there. Come on.
If you get the Yuumi, you won't survive the lane, like you said, but at least you will scale up. So it looks like that's what they've opted to go with. We do see the Xinjiao pick up or blank here as well. And I feel like for the Hawks, you just want to pressure this bot lane with that Xinjiao. Pressure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think you can necessarily find the kills, but just try and buy them the space, the time to grow up. And like we've already said, for Hawks, with the mid lane pressure that they've put down in their bans, they are most likely looking for that mid carry here. So the second phase is going to be very important for the Hawks.
Yeah, and we'll see. Well, they've lost access to the Jace, which is more than likely for the likes of Kanatu. And honestly, if I was Sengoku, I'd just throw another ban at Kanatu. Like, you've already gotten rid of most things you don't want to deal with. You already know that you're going to put Gwen up there with Paz. Just what don't you want to deal with? Because you've basically already won the bottom lane just from draft. So just go for, I honestly, go for 3 winning lanes at this point. Just like try and smash the Hawks who have clearly been struggling so far this season.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Gwen got picked up already by Sengoku Gaming, so I wonder if we're going to see bans against specifically things that do well against the Gwen. Apparently not here. So there is still a chance for Kanatsu to counter pick, and I don't know if Once plays the Gwen in the jungle and whether that is an option for them to flex here. I honestly don't really like the Syndra ban here. I think, yes, Syndra's a very safe mid lane pick, but it's not going to be the carry that the Hawks really need here for the team. It can serve as a bridge and it is a kill lane, but is Jet really worried about that?
I don't think he should be, because I feel like Dash is just going to retreat onto something like a Victor. Something that he did really well with last year. And it's still, it may not be, you know, the highest of highs, but it's still pretty viable in that mid lane pool right now. So I'd like to see something like that. I really want to see the Jarvan, because I detest Gwen jungle. I really don't like it. So yeah, I love to see the Jarvan here once. If he plays aggressive like he damn well should be, I think Sengoku are in a fantastic position to basically take this game by the horns from minute 1.
It is, interesting for Dasher here. Another Ahri pickup, and Ahri very mobile. So one thing I did want to point out with the J4 pickup here is that right now we only really see the Zeri lane, the bot lane, and J4 is not the most effective ganker against the Zeri. Zeri is fast enough to get away, and Cataclysm doesn't actually lock her down. If Yumi's with her, they both get out for free. And now with the Ahri mid lane as well, post 6, where are you looking to gank? Gnar! Oh, I love to see it for Kanatsu. It fits exactly how Kanatsu's like to play, which is PvE the entire time with Hullbreaker. And Gnar, another great Hullbreaker champion. More importantly, if you Cataclysm a Gnar, you're not catching the Gnar. The Gnar just caught you.
Yeah, but oh man, LJL's obsession with Gnar continues. I don't know, I've been quite critical of the champion. I'll avoid top lane because I don't want to see that in my game. We do see Jet though taking the Sylas, which I've seen multiple versions of this matchup where the Sylas will clap the Ahri, and then 2 seconds later the Ahri will clap the Sylas. So like, who actually the hell wins in this lane, or is it genuinely just down to who doesn't mess up in that match?
I do think it is a very skill-based matchup between the Sylas and the Ahri. I do think Ahri has a better time of it In the early game, where you are ranged into melee, as long as you can dodge those chains there, the abscond, abduct, you'll mostly be fine. And we've seen a lot that, you know, Ari in the first couple of levels, especially level 1 of Electrocute, can just outright dominate a lane there. So Ari should have the fun of it early, but later on it does become the skill matchup when you can steal that Spirit Rush away from Ari as well. Suddenly you're both dashing around, skirmishing everywhere. And personally, I think Silas's scalings have always been very, very good. So I would give the edge ever so slightly that way to Sengoku. And I really love the draft that Sengoku have. They've got the early Caitlyn Lux, they've got the late when Silas here. And the Hawks, well, their draft is decent too. I'm just not sure how they're going to execute it against what Sengoku have drafted.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is hopeful for the Hawks, right? Zeri is really strong. Yuumi is disgusting. I don't want to talk about that champion because just like thinking about Yuumi makes me feel physically sick to my stomach. But their comp, like, it's not a bad composition. And no, as long as Hawks doesn't die in the early game, as long as they don't bleed out, they can be rushed to the ER and be saved when you hit the bit of, you know, get to the later sides of the game. Like, sure, you have to deal with the infamous Gwen late game, but you have tools for that, right? Like, Gwen shouldn't, and I'll preface this with like hyphens on both sides of the word shouldn't, be able to do a damn thing to Marble in the mid to late game, because you'll have Yuumi sitting on top for the speed boost, and you'll have Zeri just deciding to dip, dop, dive, and dash her way through a dodgeball court. So, like, theoretically, Marble is immortal, assuming he doesn't get CC'd by something, which is like the Cataclysm or a cupcake from Caitlyn.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I want to say Zeri is immortal, but Marble, I don't know if Marble can quite pilot this Zeri yet. And I'm willing to be proven wrong. We've not gotten to see Marble on mobile champions, right? He's played 4 games of Aphelios, 1 game of Jhin, all of them highly immobile. So maybe Marble on a more mobile champion with some agency will be able to carry the game. But to me, that's a question for later. In the early game for the Hawks, what I do need to see is Blank and Dasher popping off, because they are the bridge to the late game here with the Xin Zhao, with the Ari. And the biggest problem for me with the Hawks has been a lack of coordination, particularly between Blank and Dasher, who have often served as engaged for the team here. And now that the two of them have to work together to be that bridge, that's my biggest question mark in the early game.
Yeah, will they be able to pull that off? Well, you'd hope so, especially with the champions that they're rocking. Xin Zhao is pretty simple when it comes to the engages. Land, the wind becomes lightning, and then just go. Like, there's not a lot added into that one. It's not like you have to worry about stuff. You go in, and if you're post level 6, you press the R key, and then everything that isn't you or next to you just doesn't matter. Because, well, why would it? So, and then Dash is just very similar. He presses, in that case, he presses the R key, and then he presses the E key. And then he's got his engage. So, fingers crossed on that one. Because, again, it's not complicated, but if it's not coordinated, it's going to end much like a Shakespearean play in complete tragedy.
And to lots of applause, hopefully, one way or the other here. But for now, Blank, actually really good sweeper there to know that that ward was in there, does clear it. And interestingly enough, has actually decided to skip over the Raptors here. He's trying to change up the pathing a little bit. Unfortunately, I think Sengoku might have figured that out. We do see the question mark pings coming down, but for now, Paz has not dropped the ward, and Paz is still pushing out.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of work out, even if, because we all know Scuttlecrab spawns at 315, typically jungle pathing, even if you do the rush, ends at about 230, 245. That's when you have to start saying, okay, if they've done, you know, just red buff, blue buff, and maybe one thing to hit level 3, they're coming in for a gank about now. So that's when you can put the ward down. So in Paz's case, he's probably going to wait till about now to put the ward down ideally. And actually, look at it. There he is. The ward is down.
Yep. Perfectly timed there for a level 3 Xin Zhao gank. But the risk, of course, of Xin Zhao, J4, these guys can go for the level 2 cheese if they really, really want to buff the gank. Is safe for now. And Sengoku, they're probably estimating that, hey, we didn't get ganked. We didn't see him. You're seeing the pings come down on that Herald, on the Scuttle, pardon me, on the top side. But Blank's not even looking for that. And I honestly don't like this pathing. It's kind of odd here.
It looks like Blank's interested in doing something bot lane. I think almost like a level 4 gank bot side. So he's going to do Krugs and then go into a gank bot half is kind of what I'm thinking. But once has finally sensed it up. Blank knows, though, that he's been caught out, but now whatever cheeky pathing he was trying to pull off, I think he's going to work. And actually, once, if he can pull this gank off, I'll be very impressed. Dasher, though, yeah, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, kind of difficult, unfortunately, because the ward down there, while it did spot out Blank, also kind of told the Hawks exactly where Once was going to be. But it does mean that they're going to be able to secure both sides of the scuttle. And it's not that big for experience anymore. The experience did get nerfed incredibly heavily, but what it does give this Sengoku Gaming here is vision, safety a little bit more in their solo lanes, and more importantly now, once you can look to continue pressuring that bot side of Honey and NT once again here. Marble's done a great job along with Rhina so far to not get shoved under and to CS, so you do want to try and punish, make sure your Caitlyn stays ahead.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to need to see more pressure put out from Honey and NT, and even if it is, a visit from Jet and Once, do some shenanigans around this first dragon, dive on top of Marble and Reyna, because... Well, okay, well, NT, that's not exactly what I was talking about, mate. When I say you want to dive forwards, I don't mean flash bind with no backup.
That's one of those moments, Midnight, where if it had worked, it's absolute genius. But because it missed, it's a bit like question mark.
It's
the line between genius and sanity is very, very thin here.
Like, I like the idea, but for example, if you're going for that play, why not make sure Once is there? Because then that guarantees a kill onto at least Reyna if you do knock him off of the ability to remount Marble. So, I don't know. Like, I love the idea, but just, land your skill shots, please, NT. We love you.
Well, we'll see if it pays out, because I think NT was partially doing that as well to try and secure control and priority on that bot lane. We do see Vision, a control ward into that bush now, and now Once can get in there, because before that, Marble and Lina actually had everything warded up, so Once didn't have a good gank angle. It's set up here. Once is clearing bot side. Let's see if it actually converts, because for now, Once still doesn't seem to be looking bot side.
Yeah, and I really want Once to get onto the field here. He might find Dasher as at least calling out the fact that, hey, Sengoku are roaming down, and is this an ambush set for Dasher? It looks like it might be. He is running. Does not get caught by the binding, however. Really good job there from the side of Sengoku, reading the play and saying, hey, we might even be able to cheese our way into a kill.
Yeah, and for the side of Hawks here, I'm sure we saw the missing pings go down a little bit there, communicating, hey, Dasher, we don't actually know where Honey and NT are. They might have gone for the dragon. So Dasher with the quick fingers, but because of the hits up play, Sengoku are going to get first dragon here. Mountain Drake as first Drake is probably one of the least impactful first dragons, but hey, it's completely free. So you take this here. And meanwhile, Honey just going to keep shoving that bot side. We're starting to see that gold lead, that CS lead develop a little bit here in favor of Sengoku.
Yeah, step by step. And to a degree, like, that's kind of what you want from Caitlyn. Like, you're expecting Caitlyn to get multiple turret platings off during the laning phase. She's got the superior range. And then you use that advantage to hit the mid-game with, like, an absolute trap. Like, there should be, like, a pickaxe and most of the Noon Quiver done from Honey. Let's see.
Yeah, absolutely. Midnight, I just saw an item pickup, which I'm extremely happy with. I don't think it needed to come in right now, but it's picked up, and it's the Oblivion Orb for Dasher here. We've been watching the earlier games, and I've been whining about the lack of healing cut coming through, and it's always been such an effective item against the Silas as well. So I love to see it picked up now. The second test for this Oblivion Orb is, do we see a Chemtech Putrefy Ari?
Oh my! You need to chill with your obsession. Like, it's not a love; it's an obsession.
I've seen it too many times. It's not. It's a nightmare. It's a fear. We've seen it too many times in the LJL already. I don't want to see it again. It shouldn't come through, but yeah, we said that before.
Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if A, it comes through, and B, if it comes through in the next, like, 10, 20 minutes. Like, that is something you get as, like, a third item, regardless of which version you go for. So, like,
true.
Because, of course, you need your Lost Chapter into what I assume... It's probably going to be an Everfrost, realistically. There's a lot of targets you can lock down here from Dasher, and you're not going for the one-shot Ari just because, like, no Ignite, personally, means there's no one-shot. Yeah, maybe I'm an old player. Because that was the whole thing in Season 3. Then again, Deathfire Grasp existed in Season 3, so the game's changed a little bit since back in my day.
Okay, Midnight. Grandpa Midnight there. Calm down, calm down. I mean, Ludens is still a viable option, and when you consider how squishy a lot of the targets are for Sengoku there, it wouldn't be terrible. Everfrost, of course, I mean, that's fine too. I know Nymera personally hates it, and Dasher actually using the Flash instead of the Spirit Rush there.
I mean, to a degree, keeps you safe. Like, if Dasher ever wants to go for an aggressive play, it's better to burn the Flash, just so you have your Spirit Dashes available. Dashes with Dasher. Oh, that's not gonna get confusing. But Dasher right now is in pain. Like, he's got the blue buff, which makes up for the early Oblivion Orb, but like, he can't be too pleased. It just feels like there's nothing he can do in this lane. He can't properly wave clear it. He can't go for lethal onto Jet just because Jet's not going to take enough damage. And in fact, there we go. The Spirit Rush coming in to benefit. So he can get the hell out of the Cataclysm. When he's locked in, dives in over the wall, once is going to fall victim to First Blood right now. And Blank will be happy to pick that one up.
And for the Hawks here, I was just thinking too that Dash has been ganked an awful lot here. Punished. Oh, hold up. Jet?
Yeah, it's not just yet. Jet is low, but he has the Crescent Guard. And it's Silas.
Okay, yeah. So we can go back to the point I was going to make, which is Dasher was actually winning the 1v1, and Once has been going into that mid lane a lot. And it's not costing Once anything. Just anytime you're rotating between top and bottom, we've just seen the flag and drag to kind of dissuade Dasher from playing more aggressively there. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, well, Dasher's going to kill you, along with Blank there in the jungle. And this was just greedy from Once a little bit here. You knew Blank was there. You saw Blank, and top side, did we get back?
Well, that's...
Okay, yep. Okay, we'll continue the replay for now. But this is greedy from Once. You knew Blank was there. You knew Spirit Rush was up. So there's not really good kill threat onto this here. And yeah, this was just greedy. Got punished.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is that is the joy of burning Flash and not Spirit Rush earlier, because Dasher could get the hell out of the Cataclysm when he got locked in there. So Dasher... well, benefiting just in the terms of a... okay, so this is what happens. So what happens top? Okay, so they're just trading. And then Meganar comes out at what I assume is the perfect time.
Yeah.
Paz. That's ambitious, to say the least.
You know what? And for Paz, everything looked good. Just wasn't tracking the Narbar. We got to see a feast for our eyes last game in the top lane from Ray Farkey. And I've been told multiple times that Ray Farkey is good, but he ain't no Ebby. And the only person who's been an Ebby in a sort of top lane 1v1 is Kinatsu. And we're starting to see why. Kinatsu, once he builds that Hullbreaker as well, there's going to be that period of time where Paz is going to struggle to push into him. And the Hawks have a window to play through, which they kind of need to. Because as good as the mid lane has been, as good as that top play has been as well, the bot side's not going in their favor. As expected, the Lux Caitlyn is pressuring, is getting plates, and at the rate they're going here, soon that Caitlyn Lux will be unleashed onto the rest of the map.
Yeah, I mean, don't look at the gold. I can't really work out the gold difference, unfortunately, but... oh, there we go. It's 600 gold. There we go. So it's 600 gold in favor of Honey right now, which is good. He needs to keep building that, though, right? And that's when we're going to give it the turret platings, and ideally Dragon number 2, because Blank is showing himself topside to try and get some more gold here. Kinatsu, oh no! Oh, I tried so hard, buddy.
It's fine. You pushed out Paz, and more importantly, we're talking about bot side trying to get advantage. Kinatsu just took first brick, and that should not happen with a Caitlyn Lux lane. So Hawks right now, they're looking really good in the early game. But Midnight, the early game has never been this team's problem. They actually have an above average goal difference at 15. The issue has always been what happens after that 15-minute mark.
Yeah, well, we're not even there yet. Yet Kinatsu is likely going to fall victim, jumps over the wall, cataclysmed, and put down by Once. And, well, it would look good for Hawks for about 3 seconds. And then Sengoku broke their ankles.
You know what? We can take that as a turret for death trade, and it's still worth it for the Hawks for now here. And more importantly, Kinatsu is also unlocked. If they want to, they can actually send Kinatsu to try and hold 1v2 on that bot side with Hullbreaker here. I actually don't know if that's better or worse than leaving Marble and Rhina, because Marble and Rhina have done a pretty decent job of holding the bot lane for now. Dragon is spawning, though, and Blank
is in trouble. Crescent Guard is not used, is not being dropped. It doesn't get used. Blank just doesn't ult.
Okay, well, the dragon is no longer contestable. Your jungler's dead. Smite's gone. And not only did Blank have Crescent Guard, he had Flash as well. He had all the tools available, and unfortunately just kind of got caught off guard. And this is what we're a little bit worried about here. Hawks early game has it started to crumble. We've seen Blank drop now, and the bot lane is in the eyes here. Dive is possible, but no Cataclysm for once.
It's more than possible. It's absolutely going to happen here. Marvel has to run like hell. Actually, they back away. Not enough minions to force the dive there. And also, if you look down the items of Sengoku here, nothing to counter Yuumi. So I think that's actually smart in that case, because you just don't have a way to stop the Yuumi from, pushing Marvel back up to full HP with a click of one button. So
yeah. And not only that, I mean, exhaust and heal as well as final chapter. That it's a risky dive, which is why I wasn't sure if they're going to pull the trigger without the Cataclysm. They had Jet, so it was possible, but we already saw last game as well. A lot of the bot lane dives, so if you force it too hard, you end up trading 1-for-1. Now we get to see gold charts here. We had 1,200 gold advantage to the top lane previously. That's grown to about 1,006 here. And the bot side, 800 gold lead for Caitlyn. Looks good on paper, but it's not great. Caitlyn will fall behind.
Ooh. Yeah, we're talking about Marble. Marble's fine. Jet just trying to be a little bit testy, but I think that top one is really important, because this bot lane is where Sengoku were meant to smash. And are they ahead? Yeah. Absolutely. Are they as ahead as Kanatu is of Paz? Not even close.
Yeah, not at all here. And Kanatsu will struggle a little bit because he took the turret early here. So trying to overextend at this point is how he got punished the last time. We might not get to see the leverage until the rest of the map for Hawks starts to apply the pressure. While we were talking about that, Sengoku did manage to pick up Herald as well. And while Jet didn't find a kill on Marble or Rhina here, did manage to get the turret. So things are getting really even between the teams. I do think Dragon is probably where we'll need to set our eyes on next, as it will be third Dragon. And so far, Hawks have not contested any of the Dragons here.
No, and I feel like if they do, it's going to be Dragon number 4. There's no real need to force Dragon number 3 here, especially because it's a Cloud Dragon of all things. Like, you don't need to pull the trigger in that situation if you're not feeling comfortable. Which, like, should they be? Probably. But if they're not feeling comfortable for those kind of contestants, aka a certain mid lane that hasn't got a fully completed item, then yeah, I can see why you'd be really hesitant to commit to those kind of fights.
Well, it's kind of risky to leave it to Sol. We'll have to see whether or not Dasher can actually get that mythic you're talking about there, because I do agree that that is absolutely key for now. They do have all members down here, and I like what they're doing. They're leaving Kanatsu to split on his own with that Hull Breaker here, and they're sieging up mid, but into a Lux, into a Caitlyn, the wave clear here is very strong.
Yeah, I mean, that's the joy of Dasher, though. Like, the Dasher's wave clear with just a Lost Chapter alone should be pretty good, but it's not that you can siege, right? Because obviously the wave clear from the others on the counter end, especially because look at them, they're backing up. Sengoku are positioning like there's a dragon up, but there just isn't. It's just the rotating bots are like, hey, we might be doing dragon, you have no idea, and Sengoku pressing tab like, no, you're absolutely not, there's no dragon for the next couple minutes.
Yeah, they're just kind of gaining priority over something that's not quite there. They've got vision control as well, but I'm actually worried that that will lapse or be cleared as soon as they have to walk away, and somebody has to walk away, because they bought a lot of time earlier with the shove from Kanatsu top, but because they were doing a 1-4 split, Paz just got to free push all the way here, and Kanatsu, who has the teleport, is the one they've sent to that bot lane to try and take that outer turret. So now Dasher is up here. Teleport coming up soon, should be up in time for that Cloud Drake, and it's actually kind of sad that the teleport will be up for the Cloud Drake, because that tells you how far ahead Hawks set up for a non-existent dragon.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, they've got great vision, right? They've got double control ward there. They've got a pushing ward in the entry brush as well. So it's not that they don't know that something's going to happen, but they need to have their firepower there right now to stop once. Because once and Enti are just going to walk in, clear everything, and Blank on his own can't do a damn thing about it. So yeah, this TP from Dasher is almost mandatory. But now Paz is like, okay, cool, you TP'd. I'm just going to split push. Or could split push, actually. It looks like he is going to rotate down for the fight.
Yeah, and they don't want to give this up. It's actually a really strong strategic tool for Sengoku if they can get this dragon here. Yes, Cloud Dragon's probably the least powerful combat soul, but what it does give you is that movement speed when you use your ultimate. And when you've got the likes of a Gwen on your team, a Silas on your team, having that extra movement speed really allows you to position incredibly well to dive the backline, to hunt down that Zeri, especially near the beginning of the fight before she starts getting hyper mobile. Now, the Herald being dropped to pressure mid here will deny away the Hawks from that priority that they were fighting for at that Dragon Pit.
Yeah, and now Konatu is actually quite happy with this one. Oh, there's deny it as well.
Wow.
Blank forced the smite, but the issue is he's that's his second charge of smite. It'll be up in less than 15 seconds, and Sengoku are kind of looking a little bit lost. They're like, okay, it's JRAM time, which we all know, but they clearly want to fight before starting up the objective. But also Naba, you have to be so careful of that Naba, and Sengoku now have to do something because Naba has been triggered.
Yeah, and Hawks right here, they could just turn and burn on this dragon with the Trinity Force already completed for Marble here. You do have enough damage, and they're racing against time. It's Dragon Health versus Mega Narbar.
But they're in flank though, Jet and Paz. This is a three-way pincer, but you need to go right about now. Steals it away to thank you very much. They dive in the Cataclysm, locking them out of the fight there. Paz and Jet are slaughtering the Hawks in the back line. It is not yours anymore. There is no safety, and there is no mercy.
And Midnight, this was what we were worried about for the Hawks, the team fight. Can you coordinate your play? And unfortunately, the answer again was no. Not only did Once get in there and steal the dragon, but the way the fight broke out, they had vision on the Jet flank, but when push came to shove, they still abandoned Marble. Kanatsu still got caught in front, and we get to see the replay of this fight here. And Jet looping all the way around. I believe they I actually didn't have vision.
They saw
the
Paz,
ward
but they got no idea. It goes in, takes it, and they're like, oh crap, let's get out of here. But you can't run because Marble and Dasher are just overrun here, and Dasher just pieces out.
Yeah, hey, Dasher did what Dasher had to do, right? You weren't going to be able to survive that. Piecing out's basically the only thing you can do at that point. And at least, hey, not only did you get out, you got Lina out with you here, but really well executed from Sengoku there, knowing that they could get that flank off from multiple directions as well, because it wasn't just a Jet flank, Paz flanked as well.
Yeah, and oftentimes in League, a pincer is so dangerous because while you're setting up, in that particular case, you had three members of Sengoku who, if Hawks engaged on them, they were going to die. It's a 3v5. There's nothing you can do, but Sengoku either had no idea it was happening or simply they just didn't pull the trigger, as we all saw. And then Sengoku were like, okay, sweet, it's ambush time. And, well, we know exactly how that went for them. So, it's heartbreaking to a degree, but Hawks waited. They put so much priority on trying to burn down the dragon that they decided, nope, we're not going to engage on the three members of Sengoku when we don't, like, because partly you don't know where Paz and Jet are, to a degree, fair. But, like, you need to see those kind of flanks coming.
Fair enough. Bot side though, Kanatsu versus Paz.
Oh, no.
It's even until Jet shows up.
Yeah, this is not a fair fight. This is bullying.
No.
This is bullying. This takes me back to middle school, man. It's just like, yeah, I might have a chance. Like, it's a 50-50 at best, and then his buddy shows up and you're like, yeah, this is not gonna be fun.
No. Yeah, not a fair fight by any means. And this is why we saw the Gwen picked up so early here for the side of Sengoku Gaming. I think Gwen is one of the few top laners right now who can match a Hullbreaker champion without having to build Hullbreaker on their own. You can push really effectively, and more importantly, you still have kill threat on these Hullbreaker champions here, and it's showing. So for Sengoku, you're fine with the split push. Paz is going to hit the point eventually where Kanatsu will not be able to handle the 1v1. And for the rest of your team here, we already touched on the wave clear. Sure, Caitlyn damage does sort of fall into a bit of a trough in the mid game here, but it's good enough to clear out minions. And the Hawks are the ones who have to try and force a play, force a team fight or a pick. You've got the charm from the Ahri. you've got the team fighting from Kanatsu and Raina here, and Marble's starting to come online.
I'm sorry. I just saw the massive Ludens blow up for Dasher. And I have to wonder, has Nymera hacked the broadcast? Like, he sees Ahri, he gets excited. He sees a Ludens, he gets more excited. Like, it's but no,
it's the right build.
It's the right build.
I mean, we said as well that, like, you know, for this particular, for this game, especially with so many squishies here, you do absolutely want to pop as many people as you can here, especially Honey, especially Enti. So it's a good buy. And you know what? After the games we've had off Ahri here, in the LJL. I think Nightmare deserves a break. He deserves one Luden's Ari game. Whether or not it wins, though, is the bigger question.
Like, honestly, knowing Nightmare's luck with Ari's, not looking great. I remember what happened on the LEC stage for him sometimes, man. It ain't sunshine and rainbows. But maybe history changes itself, because HAWKS, despite everything, are finally getting online. 2 items on Marble. This is massive. And speaking of it, dies over the wall because you can't contain how mobile this champion is, and you are put down once. And you know what? The rest of your team can join you.
Do it?
Marble ain't done with you yet. Jet forced to get to the terminal and get the hell out of the country because he can't stand and fight.
Okay, now Paz has to be careful as well. They don't quite have vision here, but Midnight, Marble. The big question mark we had coming into this. Hold on.
Oh, Dasha!
What? Out of nowhere! Is that Baron?
No, that's the dragon. That's because dragons have in 5 seconds. Dash has just decided, no, this is our dragon, whether you like it or not, Sengoku.
Yeah, they can't contest this right now. Jet is up, but no TP either, so can't join the fight. And Midnight, the question we had coming into this game was, can Marble survive the lane? And the answer apparently is an emphatic yes. And more importantly, too, like we said, this is the first time we're seeing Marble on a mobile champion here. And he honestly looks really good. This is the Marble that people were hoping to see when he got promoted from V3 Academy, or picked up from V3 Academy here. And we have not seen it till now. LJL is an AD-centric league. And if Marble is starting to come online, I think that might be what it takes to bring Sengoku, the HAWKS over the finish line.
Yeah, and in this particular case, the attempt to engage onto Marble is a good idea until you realize that you need point and click to stop Zeri from moving. Cataclysm is not okay, technically it is point and click, but it doesn't stop them from getting out of the point and click. So Marble's like, okay, cool, see ya, I'm out. And then Sengoku grabbed themselves their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, and more importantly, delay soul as well.
I think Nightmare is happy.
Well, we'll see how it goes. It's certainly looking better for the HAWKS than it has been in pretty much, I think, any game before this so far here. And at the rate they're going, you know, I like their odds, but that is only their first dragon. The threat of soul continues still for the side of Sengoku, and Baron is always something that they do need to concern themselves with. Yes, the Caitlyn damage isn't great for taking Baron, but the Gwen damage certainly is, and this is Riftmaker Nashor's Tooth. This is not a defensive Gwen. This is a Gwen that can pump out a lot of damage in a very short amount of time.
And I quite like that for the most part, because that kind of removes Kanatu from the equation. Blank can't really do anything against Paz, so who is stuck on dealing with Paz on the side lane? Because no one wants to, but someone's going to have to draw the damn short straw, and it looks like it's going to just have to be Dasher, which is annoying, because where you want Dasher right now is in the mid lane, looking to pick Honey, Once, or Jet off with that charm like we saw earlier. You don't want him dealing with the side lane shenanigans.
No, ideally you want Kanatsu to be trying to match it, and then with Dasher coming down to assassinate to add that little bit of an option here. But for now, like you said, Kanatsu not on the right side of the map, didn't have teleport either. And hey, at least Paz didn't keep pushing, so Dasher just goes down, wave clears, still has the TP option to rejoin the rest of the team. And if anything, Dasher can just keep on pushing right now. The HAWKS have wards on Baron, and the HAWKS don't necessarily want to do Baron. They're okay playing this slow, letting Marble scale up. Now with the Titanic Hydra as well here. This is, I believe, are we in patch 12.3 or 12.4? I forgot to check.
I believe we're 12.3.
Okay, then this build's still great at this point. You're doing tons of damage. You're wave clearing. I was thinking, like, if this is 12.4, not an optimal build, yeah, then the HAWKS are more than happy to continue scaling up here. It's not just about the Zeri, it's also about the Yubi here. Linus is going to get tougher and tougher to cut through the healing cut. Does Sengoku have any? No. They no, never mind. Paz does. Sorry. There's one. Now the question is that one person actually going to be hitting Marble? Because if you can't hit Marble, the healing from Lina is still going to be fully applied here.
Yeah, and the answer is absolutely not. If Paz is hitting Marble, Sengoku have already lost the fight, and that's what really scares me. Because when you look at how do you stop Marble from being just the most mobile, slippery person on the Rift, you've got your Root coming in from NT with a Q, you've got the Cupcakes from Honey, which are not reliable whatsoever, you've got Abscond Abduct from Jet, and maybe like you could maybe steal the Gnar ultimate into the wall from Jet as well. And oh, yikes. Because once is good, but that's not going to be enough for follow-up. We saw Marble dive out of the Cataclysm earlier. So if you don't catch Marble and basically nuke him back into the Stone Age, he's not dying. The rest of his team comes to fight you, and he's likely going to live as well. So the longer this game goes, I'm actually getting really worried for Sengoku because genuinely, like, how do you deal with Marble? And if you throw everything at Marble, how the hell do you get on top of Dasher?
True, and Dasher is a threat as well. We've seen Dasher skirt around the fights. 1-0-1 doesn't sound amazing as a scoreline until you realize that everybody on the side of the Hawks has pretty much won something and won, and they've only got 4 kills here. So Dasher is still a massive threat. And Midnight, I love that you point out all the CC. They've got one thing in common. All the CC are skill shots. And you're up against a Zeri who's incredibly mobile, who has Cleanse in their pocket as well. So you've got to land not just one skill shot, it needs to be at least 2. So the Hawks, they're in a good place. And Sengoku, though, they're not in a terrible spot themselves here. The scaling from the Silas is still really strong. The Gwen scaling is still up there as well. If they can find their way into the backline, both these players can absolutely shred fights. It's not just about Marble here. They can cut through anybody.
Hold up, is that another flank? Is this another Sengoku
They're looking for it.
Oh god, please don't let this happen at Hawks. You must learn from history. Please, please repeat. Because once is lurking on the backline, and Sengoku are positioning. They know where Jet is, but I don't know if they know have any idea where Once is. And Marble is not far away if this Jarvan was to go in on them. But both sides back away. Dragon resets. Sengoku have no idea, but Kanatu's trying to sneak into the flank, and Once is like, he has no idea that I know that he's there. But he thinks he doesn't know. As they go through, Once finally has been shown onto the flank line there, but he actually can't get to the Dragon as the whole flank side finally blast Khan's over the wall. They're blank backing away as well. Dragon at 2k goes in for that one, not able to take it as Honey takes that one. Jet is on the back line as well, so Hawks are so split in this fight. Marble can't do a damn thing. Finally going into the wall! Jet, you beauty! Takes down Hawks himself, says, buddy, get the hell away from my team!
I mean, Marble lives, but this is what I'm talking about for Sengoku here. Yes, Honey isn't scaling. Honey doesn't have damage, but this is the insurance policy. Silas kicking in, Jet kicking in as well. And, oh, we were so focused on the Once flank, but we should have been focused on the Jet flank.
I love Kanatu trying to tower dive. He's like, you may get Baron, but I'm going to tower dive your damn support. Not able to get that one. And now Sengoku's saying, all right, sweet, Honey is 2 for 2 for objectives. Like, he's secured more objectives than the enemy than Blank has this game. But look at this. Okay, that's just toxic. But like, look at this. Like, look how lost Sengoku are right now. Blank, Marble are focusing Dragon. Kanatu doesn't know where he is. Dasher is so obsessed with Jet, he's losing himself at the airport. They have no idea what to do. And what is the call here from Sengoku? I think it's run the hell away, but I don't know. And then suddenly you run towards Jet. And that's all she wrote. He puts you 6 feet under.
Yeah, and for Sengoku, I don't think they were lost. I think they knew exactly what they were trying to do. And what they were doing was they were being patient. Now, Blank getting caught out here.
Yeah, goodbye.
That's a burned up team.
Oh, I mean, that's a lot of resources burned to kill him, but it doesn't matter because Sengoku can't do a damn thing about it. The Baron is sieging them in. Honey, by the way, he's not with his team. He is a mid lane, being that AD carry in solo queue, who is split pushing at 35 minutes, or 32 minutes at this point. As we're seeing Jet just baiting out the Lost Chapter there. He's getting down low, but I think he's going to be fine. No Zhonya's to stay himself alive there. Pretty sure he had it. Sengoku lose one. Marble and Dasher are very mobile, and with Reina in the back pocket, Sengoku have to back the hell up here. They don't have a right to push in.
Considering that Kanatsu got caught at the beginning of all of that here, this is not the worst case scenario for the Hawks here. They only really lose the one turret to a burned up team, and this has put a massive pause for Sengoku here. Now, Sengoku, Honey split pushing as the AD carry. That's the exact right thing you want to do as Caitlyn. Caitlyn, you're not about the team fight anymore. You are basically a demolition machine. You're the bulldozer. They bring you to a turret. You take the turret down with your range, especially with the Baron buff here. But Sengoku does need to be careful about picking fights when the team's not together. They've looked really good when they can find flanks. But when you're sieging turrets like that, flanks are quite hard to come by.
Yeah, the flanks I think you can only set up around objectives. Hell, they work at the Dragon Pit because you know the Hawks have to be there, and you can take a pretty good guess where they're going to be positioned. Same way as here. You could go for a flank here. Once is posturing for it, and I think the Hawks could be baited in, but there is no Honey available. So, yeah, Honey's just going to get a free turret, and Hawks lose. Yeah, that's not ideal.
Well, yeah, Sengoku, they didn't want necessarily a fight there. They'd take one if they can find picks or an uneven number situation, but they're more just there to make sure that Honey gets that alone time with that turret, that you can't rotate right in to cut them off. They're trying to maximize the Baron buff because there was only a minute left on it. There's now only 10 seconds left, and now Sengoku need to make sure they don't overstay their welcome because the Hawks are still very strong in a fight, in a front-to-back fight if they can get it. And no flank for Sengoku right now probably means no win.
Yeah, I think you have to go some sort of tricky move here as Sengoku. Going straight up, look, you theoretically can, but like, look at all your successes. Have been grabbing the Hawks from multiple angles and yanking like a psychopath. Which, it's working. The last two fights the Hawks have been in, you've pulled them in 3 different directions, they had no idea what the hell to do, and they fell apart completely. So there's no need to throw yourself at the wall when you can just, like, slowly assassinate the wall's ankles. Or foundations, I think walls have. I don't think walls have ankles. I did not think that one through. But, like, why go head on when you can just, like, sneak attack them? And so with dragon spawning in a minute and a half and a dragon that you cannot do... Okay, well, this is an ambush, and this is an ambush that Paz isn't going to live. But if Sengoku can get them in time, it might be worth it. They could at least get Ren for the top laner, but once is diving the hell out. But Maple is not done with that one. Honey says, get the hell out of here, buddy! You are not allowed on my playground! Jet is lurking over the wall, but I think very smartly chooses not to engage.
Yeah, I mean, those couple of hit shots, the crits coming in from Honey were critical there. If you didn't land those crits, Marble probably would have kept chasing there. But this is what I'm talking about. The Hawks are still really strong, and the Yuumi is scaling up. There's a GA on Marble as well. I want to point that out, because even if it looks risky for this area here, it really is. The rest of the team will be there to bodyguard the Resurrection, and then she continues to get to pop off a lot in those fights. Once again, healing cut check. Who's got healing cut? Only Paz for Sengoku right now. And Paz did in that fight early. Getting caught out like that means that Sengoku really don't want to pick a 4v4, much less a 5v4 in that situation.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating. Like, Jet, you don't, like, the seal's nice, you don't need it. And for Honey, look, to a degree, fair, the QSS is really, really helpful to deal with Dasher. So, like, I can't criticize not having it, but, like, get healing cut, you're versing a Yuumi. There's not a whole lot to say on that one. And we won't have to, because guess what's spawning in 5 seconds? It is going to be the Elder. Now, Jet apparently doesn't care. He's just vibing in mid lane, is probably going to push, and that means that, yeah, Hawks have to start the objective. They do not have a choice in the meta. Jet is lurking, but look at Dasher. Dasher's not letting this flank come through. I love this adaptation. So they're going to have to pretty much take the fight head on. 8,000 and burning down. Jet is going to get nuked and has forced to run away. And the rest of Hawks are actually interested, but they've kind of left the dragon alone. They've got to return to it. It does reset, and Jet has to back away. He does have TP though, but he needs to be quick about it because the dragon is still going down, down, down. Kanatu though loses Mega Nah. That is really, really important for the coming up fight there. Dragon, oh my lord, you are playing with this dragon like I used to play with Pokemon cards. I don't know what's going on, but it looks really, really fun to pretend like I do. As Jet is once again lurking for another flank. The dragon's health is not moving, finally getting aggroed. As Jet's finally seen again. They are obsessed with this flank, but no, it's gonna reset again, more than likely, because welcome to the LJL. They cannot make a decision to save themselves. Dasher and Jet back on the other fight there. The dragon finally pulls the trigger. He is bored. He wants some carnage. He wants some blood. Jet diving into the backline, forces on use the bite time, as the rest of Sengoku will eliminate Kanatu and then get the hell out of dodge. Jet is using the Ari ult better than Dasher can. Dasher still has a charge though, waiting to look in to go over the wall there. Honey has had enough of this fight, sets down the cupcake, kicks you in the face, and goodbye, Hawks. You have to find another nesting place because it ain't at the damn dragon pit. Hell, it's probably not on Summoner's Rift. Dasher will run for his life. He will get out. Well, actually, I say that once is clearly in a hungry mood. Feed him some fox, baby! And Enti gets the bind. He will go down. And Sengoku, after the longest damn posture around an Elder Dragon, say, screw the dragon, we're taking the base!
Yep, and they're just gonna rush it here. They don't need Baron. They don't need Elder here. Midnight. The Hawks, this is the closest they've looked to picking up a win, but they still can't do it. The super team curse just keeps on rolling here. And once again, I want to point out, the Hawks have the longest average game time. They do not lose easy. And once again, 38 minutes. It takes forever to crack them, but they're cracked.
Yeah, it took a damn while, though. And if you want to say, how do the Hawks play the game? How do the Hawks lose? Look at the dragon fight. That was like 3 minutes long. The dragon got reset like 4 times. The dragon's like, I don't know what's going on.
And I was watching that entire setup too, and it's actually really difficult for the Hawks. The vision, every single dragon, they did not have great vision. They actually could not track who was there from the Hawks, and that's why we saw Kanatsu, in the enemy jungle topside, trying to prevent a potential collapse from the topside when there wasn't any, because they didn't know where Once was. They didn't know where Jet was either, and that was the story of every single dragon. And even worse, the trap line as well. Look at that trap line set up near the Elder Drake, right? Anytime Elder is pulled towards the side of Sengoku there, the Hawks are struggling to poke. Whereas anytime the dragon ends up being poked by the Hawks, Sengoku can just step up and poke, and that's what we kept seeing happen over and over and over again. Kanatsu taking the poke, Blank taking the poke, especially Blank, because once your jungler is low, he can't contest.
Yeah, and so the rest of this fight, it's so scrappy. Once pulls the trigger, and look at Sengoku. Kanatu, it doesn't really know what to do in this fight. He's at a position without Mega Gnar access available. Jet throws the backline out to say, and then gets the hell out of dodge. And so suddenly Hawks are like, oh, we got to cover the front. Oh, we got to cover the back. Oh, we got to cover the front again. And Marble steps on a trap. And that is all she wrote for that fight.
Yeah, and it's so unfortunate too, because we said that, hey, if Marble would have dropped the GA, the team can cover. And that didn't happen, because Kanatsu and Blank, your tanks were already dead or dying, so nobody could cover you. Dasher tried. Reina actually ended up dying trying to cover for Marble. But still, Midnight, signs of life for the Hawks. This is the best they've looked so far. And I believe that, they can find a win, I believe, next game when they play V3. Because if they perform this level, good for them. But Sengoku. Yeah. Sengoku are looking at a second place team right now. The patience this game as well. Honey and Enti on this Lux Caitlyn, not really working out too well in the laning phase, but they made it work later, and that's something that you want to see from a good team. Jet as well, coming back in, like we said, the insurance policy, the flanks coming through from Paz, from Jet, which is beautiful this game.
Yeah, there's a lot we can do. We are going to go to a short break here, and when we come back, we can look a bit more at the slow burner that was the Hawks versus Sengoku. So guys, don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone, to LJL Spring, and I kind of want to just make a statement. The story of the Hawks, they look okay, right up until they don't.
Yep.
Yeah. That game, they looked. There were signs of life, as you said. That they were taking good fights. They had a couple of moments where they were coming back in, but especially that Drake fight, where the fantastic flank came through. And as soon as Burning Core went for the Sengoku rather went for the engage, it just looked like their shot calling fell apart.
Yeah, and I feel like anytime we saw big team fights, that was the case. Small skirmishes were fine. I mean, like anytime it's a 2v2, 3v3, they were good. Like this, great punish onto Once there. But the moments we got to the bigger fights like this, they just always seem so split in terms of what they wanted to do. You see Blank diving in with Reina where everybody's trying to get out, and Dragon was already dead. It's like, guys, what's the call here? Is it Dragon? Is it fight? Is it leave?
And that's the problem with HAWKS, is the decision-making seems, at points, brilliant. Say, okay, once it's overstayed, we punish this. And they do a brilliant job of doing so. And it's a skirmish. And partly that's where Zeri is really strong. And for Marble seemed so important to this team. It was, you need to skirmish. But the moment things boiled away from skirmishes into straight fights, that's where the HAWKS really just seemed to not have a clear decision on what they're actually doing in the rest of that fight. Oh, Dash, you're disgusting. As well.
Yeah,
again, goes in for that one. Not able to take it as money. Takes that one. Jet is on the backline as well, so HAWKS are so split in this fight. Marble can't do a damn thing. Jet, you beauty!
Jet,
takes
what
down
was it you
HAWKS
said?
himself,
Jet,
his
you
buddy.
beauty?
Get the hell away from my team!
deal.
If you look at the way he plays that fight, he plays it perfectly. He spends the whole time on the backline making Marble and Dasher just freak the hell out, going, crap, where is he? He's somewhere over there. And then the moment they take their eyes off Jet, he slams them into the wall and tells them to sit the hell down.
Who says League of Legends isn't a horror game midnight?
Jump scares.
Yeah.
Hey,
We've seen this.
And you know, like the best horror is the one that you're not expecting, right? And you could see that all of HAWKS were busy tracking once because they were waiting for the engage from that Cataclysm, right? They completely forgot that, hey, Jet can also steal a nice big AoE ultimate as well. So when he finally popped out of nowhere, that, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they changed their paths after that engage.
You could say that. And as you said, looking towards the 0-6 now. They have one more game. It is against V3. RMC. Can they end this first round robin without going 0-7?
You know what? They better be praying they can, because, you know, like we said about V3, right? Like they are a team that knows exactly what they are. They're trying to improve desperately. The HAWKS were literally coming into this season on the opposite side of the spectrum. This was supposed to be a super team. They were supposed to be able to contest DFM. They are 0-5. If they can't even find a win here, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some, you know, roster changes coming through, because obviously at that point things aren't working whatsoever here, and there's really no reason for them to lose that. Their early game has been solid, right? And that's really where V3 have struggled.
I mean, honestly, I think they can. I'm going to be straight and say I think they can do it, because you look at it, we've been talking about how good Sengoku is, how they're, second strongest in the league, and HAWKS put them through their paces. Like, that wasn't a game that Sengoku were going to look at and say, oh, we blitzed those. Like, that was a 38-minute slugfest where every single fight, you had to be a bit cheeky. You had to come in from the flanks. You couldn't just skill gap them. And so if HAWKS can get to the late game against a team like V3, with a team that has clearly shown, I think, a lot more weakness than the HAWKS have, I'm pretty confident that if they can get past 35 minutes, the HAWKS can make sure that V3 does not get back up.
I'm wondering, actually. Like, this is why numbers alone are really deceptive. Like, sure, the HAWKS are 0-6, and V3 are 0-6, but the manner in which these teams lose is night and day. Often we will see V3 just kind of getting rolled over, whereas every single game, we said the longest average game time for Fukuoka SoftBank HAWKS, they have decent early games. They will scrap, and it is big team fight calls. I felt like the whole situation in the HAWKS right now is really symptomatic of there being some kind of big flaw in their grand shot calling. Like, that they're not making one unified decision. And so many people I've heard say, I would rather have 5 people commit to an int play than have 1 person or 2 people go for a good play. Because you get 2 people go for a good play, it's not going to work 95% of the time.
Yeah, fully agree there. And interesting thing about V3 as well, they've got the shortest game times. So longest versus shortest coming up. You know, we'll kind of see how that goes. But Rakesh, I do want to talk a little bit about Sengoku as well and really hype up this team, because, again, they've been looking absolutely stunning with the way they play here. And granted, yes, they were put through their paces by HAWKS, but I don't think at any point in those dragon dances, in the face-off between the teams, it always felt like Sengoku was in control of that particular dance, that they were the ones leading the way there, and the patience as well. Props to Midnight for not running out of air and just passing out on that very, very long last fight, because Sengoku, they took their time playing that. The dragon got reset, what, 5
More than
times
likely,
during the
because,
entire
well-
thing there. And it's because Sengoku knows exactly what they needed to do. They were the ones in a rush. They were trying to get all their pieces in position first.
Yeah, and then once that happens, look at, again, the split. Sengokus are focused on waiting for Jet to exit the hourglass, while Kanatu is dying on the top half of the map with no way to stall it out. And then the marble slipping on the trap is just really unfortunate there. But the moment that the Hawks got thrown out of whack because there was a flank, everything fell apart for them. And that, I feel like, is a problem when you're versing Sengoku, because Sengoku will just pick you apart piece by piece by piece. Whereas if you go against other teams, or you run like a straight-up front-to-back teamfight comp, I think you're going to have a lot less problems, especially with some rocky shot calling. Because maybe it's presumptuous of me to say, but I feel like being the shot caller for a front-to-back teamfight, which is just make sure they don't get onto insert a hypercarry's name here, it can't be that hard. Like, I'm sure I'm paraphrasing, but like...
All right, well, enough said about that game, I think. We have one more game today, and it is actually noted down as the match of the week. I feel like, I think that there has been talk among production of just not having DFM games be matches of the week. DFM, currently 5-0, versus Axis at 2-3 to close out the day. Do not go anywhere, more LJL action coming up after this.